Stormborn by Black K. Cat. Chapter 20, third movement. Nocturne, for a new dawn. Nocturne, a musical composition that has a romantic or dreamy character with nocturnal associations. It's strange to see the people he once knew so well grown up and changed. It's equally as odd to sit in their midst and meet their eyes without so much as a hint of recognition crossing their expressions. Not entirely bad, perhaps, but just strange. They're all different in little ways, the same in others. Hinata doesn't stutter, and her hair is long, and Neji defers to her when they speak. Kiba is still brash and loud, but sports a long scar that nearly bisects the clan markings on his right cheek, and he's given to thoughtful pauses now. Moments of silence when before he never stopped. He also twitches whenever Naruto and Sasuke get... And yeah, Naruto can see Sasuke's point. It's hilarious. Ino wears her effusiveness and good humor like a mask, teasing and bullying and prodding, but always watchful, clearly picking up on undertones to the conversation that most people miss. Seeing Sakura again was a bit of a shock, and Naruto had noticed how Sasuke tensed when she appeared, how his eyes slid to Naruto with something veiled behind them. He's not the greatest at reading people, has never quite managed to master it in either lifetime, but that was easy enough to read. Insecurity and weariness, caution and reserve. So Naruto had made sure that his voice didn't falter in his conversation with a calmly confident Tenten, had made sure that his glance didn't linger when he looked at her to catalog the changes. The biggest is perhaps how she's perched quite happily in Lee's lap, trading barbs with Ino, barely glancing at Sasuke except as the conversation requires it, and grinning all the while. She's happy, clearly, and it looks good on her. Naruto can look at her and feel gladness and nothing else, and hopes his raised eyebrow at Sasuke conveys as much. Then he's distracted as Tenten hauls out one of her larger sealing scrolls and dumps it on the table, eliciting several offended cries as people lunge for their endangered drinks. "This," she says, jabbing a finger at a portion of the seal and ignoring the rest of the table, "it keeps degrading after a few months. And I've already lost 2 good sets of kunai that way. I asked Tosei Jiraiya once, but he wanted nude pictures in return for helping me, so I'm pretty much out of luck." "He what?" Neji and Sasuke demand in unison. Neji in particular looks fit to skin someone, pale eyes sharp and a muscle jumping in his jaw as he halfway rises. Tenten raises a brow at him until Neji huffs under his breath and sinks down into his seat, then looks back at Naruto, who's finding it very hard not to laugh. "Do I want to know what you did to him afterwards?" he asks, grinning, and she grins back. "Well, he didn't have to visit Tsunade-sama at least," she says judiciously, though her eyes are bright with mischief. "And he did compliment my Fuinjutsu." Naruto laughs and leans forward to study the thick, bold lines of her seals. After a moment of contemplation, he reaches out and taps a line of marks that go straight when they should curve. "Here, this is inefficient, so the chakra you put into it is going nowhere and just dissipating. If you make it a match to this one here," he traces what should be a mirrored array, "you'll double your output and at the same time solve your power problem." Tenten groans and rubs her temples. "I didn't even think of that," she mutters. "Sealing is kind of Uzushio's specialty," Naruto says with a shrug. "It's not something most people would see, and for seals done by someone not formally taught, learning outside of Uzushio, these are really good." With a faint frown, she studies the rest of the array, then sighs and re-rolls the scroll. "I don't suppose your Kage would be willing to take on exchange, Shinobi?" "Indeed!" Lee puts in with enthusiasm from where he's leaning in to listen to their conversation. "I, too, would like to receive instruction in your youthful style of taijutsu! Gai-sensei always says one must seize opportunities with vigor and passion!" Wham! "Lee, what have I told you about shouting in my ear?" "Forgive me, my beautiful flower. I will endeavor to contain myself." Sakura rolls her eyes, but smiles and leans in to kiss his cheek. "It's fine. Just remember your indoor voice." It's the weirdest combination of dating and nannying that Naruto has ever seen, and he glances at Sasuke, fighting back a comment that is more than likely inappropriate. Sasuke just rolls his eyes, leans towards him, and murmurs, At least she's not a fangirl anymore, now that she's moved on to greener pastures. Naruto cackles before he can help it, surprised into genuine mirth rather than Yoko's restrained chuckle, and as to double over, he's laughing so hard. Sasuke just watches him, looking smug and amused as Naruto giggles and gasps for breath, hanging onto the Uchiha's chair to stay upright. A moment later, Sasuke's hand closes around his, squeezing lightly, and Naruto tries to rein himself in, swallowing his laughter back and hoping he doesn't get the hiccups. He isn't entirely certain when Sasuke grew a sense of humor, but he likes it! He likes it a lot. Temme, he says when he gets speaking, wiping his eyes as he sinks back in his chair. Don't sneak up on me like that. Sasuke just looks eminently satisfied and hooks a foot around one leg of Naruto's chair to tag it a touch closer. It's true. But you don't have to freeze it like that, jerk. It's rude. So is laughing. Which is why that awful sense of humor you have should come with a warning label, and here I thought that stick up your butt didn't leave any room for it, Temme. Sasuke narrows his eyes at him, but can't quite hide the humor in them. Warning labels only work when you can read, idiot. I fail to see how you'd benefit. With an offhanded huff, Naruto crosses his arms over his chest and narrows his eyes right back. I'm the foremost expert on seals in all of Uzushio Kage. Excuse me, but what have you managed to accomplish in the last 19 years? Silently, Sasuke points to the Anbu captain's tattoo on his shoulder and gives Naruto an arched look. Naruto gives him his best unimpressed expression back, which lasts right up until Sasuke huffs a near-silent laugh, leans in, and fits their lips together through the barrier of the mask. A movement they've practiced more than once over the course of the night. Is quick and necessarily chaste, edged with the heat in Sasuke's eyes and the matching want that curls deep in Naruto's chest, and is only when they pull apart that Naruto realizes their corner of the bar has gone silent. The 10 other shinobi grouped around the table are all staring at them with varying degrees of disbelief. Hinata is slowly flushing, red climbing her cheeks beneath wide eyes, and next to her, Kiba is slowly puffing up, looking somewhere between bewildered, outraged, and deeply offended. Sakura is dead white, and Ino's eyes are narrow, her face set. Tenten and Lee trade glances, seemingly not quite sure where to look, and Neji is completely expressionless. Shino matches him, while Choji just looks worried, and Shikamaru stares at them, steady and unavoidable. How about, Ino says after a very, very long pause, we move this party to Sasuke's place? Despite the phrasing, it's clearly not a question. I think that's a good idea. Sakura agrees after another moment and rises to her feet like there's a thunderstorm brewing under her skin. Her green eyes are very hard. Let's go! She vanishes in a whirl of leaves, and after a moment's pause, Ino murmurs something that sounds like an apology and does the same. Neji is the next one to move, rising smoothly to his feet and offering Tenten a hand up. We'll walk with you, he says, implacable, and nods for everyone else to get up. Kiba goes with a grumbled heave halfway to Baird as he steps away and stalks out of the bar. Shino and Hinata trade glances, and then Shino follows with quick steps, leaving the Hyuga heiress to pause next to Naruto's chair. I would like it if we could all talk, she says softly, not quite meeting his eyes. It's been a long time. The sinking sensation in Naruto's chest feels rather like he swallowed a large rock, and he swallows hard and prays. His voice doesn't crack when he answers. Yeah, let's go. Dope. Sasuke mutters, standing as well, but his eyes are sharp when he regards the others. Choji offers them a small smile as he joins Hinata. You look like we're going to your funeral, he jokes. It's just a couple of drinks at Sasuke's place, Yoko-san. That is apparently enough of a hint that Lee cries, Yosh! We will test each other's manliness in a drinking contest! If I lose, I will run 50 laps around the village on my thumbs! He tags on a wink and a blinking nice guy pose for effect. With the huff, Tenten whacks him in the back of the head. You'd better not be leaving the women out again! She threatens, catching Neji by the hand and then Lee by the collar of his jumpsuit and dragging them out of the door. I'll drink you both under the table, you chauvinist pigs! Shikamaru snorts softly, slouching up beside Naruto with his hands in his pockets and a sharp look well hidden behind his habitual lethargy. Come on, he says with a jerk of his head. If we're not quick, Sakura will pick the lock and empty the liquor cabinet before we get there. Naruto winces and has to forcibly keep from rubbing a hand over the back of his head. She's going to punch me through a wall, he mutters despondently, already anticipating the broken bones. Hey, Kurama, how are you feeling? The fox snorts rudely.
Now who's scared of a girl, brat?
Naruto wisely lets it go. Not just you, Sasuke reminds him with a grimace, but starts back towards his apartment nevertheless. Naruto falls into step with him, because the way Hinata, Shikamaru, and Neji are watching him, if he tried to flee, he'd get maybe 4 steps before they brought him down. Honestly, he feels a little like a criminal being escorted to the hangman's noose. She's going to go after both of us. Well, Shikamaru puts in mildly, from about 3 inches to the left of Naruto's elbow. You were doing fairly well until you opened your mouths to insult each other. Naruto rolls his eyes because, of course, that's what would get him found out. I didn't think you'd notice, he protests. He was just arguing. Shikamaru looks even more unimpressed than he usually does. Sasuke has only ever argued with one person like that. He points out, eyes restlessly scanning their surroundings. Neji gives him a look from up ahead. Byakugan activated and nods faintly, and Shikamaru relaxes again. Maybe next time you could save the bickering for when you're married and not about to blow your cover. There was no one watching us or listening in, Shino says flatly, from where he's walking next to an obviously fuming Kiba up ahead. My Kikaichu would have noticed. Naruto knows that Danzo doesn't have anyone watching them at the moment. The nearest root seal he can sense is about 5 streets over and pretty much stationary. And nods, tucking his hands into his sleeves for want of anything else to do with them. He's nervous. This isn't how the night was supposed to go, though he supposes it was a bit much to ask to get through the gathering without anyone guessing his identity. Honestly, he's never been very good at undercover work, especially when interacting with someone precious to him. And Sasuke, well, Sasuke really is. Oh, Kami, he sighs, rubbing a hand over his eyes as a thought occurs to him. Catching Sasuke's raised brow, he grimaces and says, Haku is going to kill me dead. Sasuke snorts, looking completely unsympathetic. The jerk.
Someone should.
Kiba huffs, glaring back at them. He subsides when Hinata places a hand on his arm, though, and rolls his eyes before falling back to walk just in front of Shikamaru. Uzushio, huh? That's pretty far to run just because you failed the Chunin exams, moron. Naruto rolls his eyes right back. There wasn't an Uzushio until I left, dog breath, he retorts. And then when Akamaru barks indignantly, tacks on, no offense, Akamaru. Hey! Kiba snarls, glaring at his dog and his friend equally. Sasuke makes a derisive sound, and Kiba obligingly whirls to glare at him too. And how did you find out, Uji? I assume it was before you started sticking your tongue down his throat at every available opportunity. Kiba! Hinata protests, flushing crimson. Sasuke pointedly looks away, though Naruto can see the faint flush high up on his cheekbones. I heard him laugh. There's a long beat of silence, and then Neji snorts. Tenten giggles, and Shikamaru just sighs and pinches the bridge of his nose like all of them give him a migraine. Of course, he mutters, sounding long-suffering. How could I expect anything less from the man who stalked him for 7 years? You were both so troublesome. Naruto grinned, because he's always enjoyed eliciting that reaction from the genius. Not that it's overly hard, granted. You hear that, Sasuke? He asks brightly. We're moving up in the world. Sasuke raises a brow, though the slant of his mouth reads as amusement. We are, from annoying to troublesome. That's progress. Hey, maybe if we use him as a meat shield with Sakura, we'll even make it to pain in the butt. Try it and die, Shikamaru threatens, going about 2 shades paler under his tan at the mere thought. My sweet, youthful flower is so strong and beautiful, Lee puts in, whirling around in circles with his hands clasped under his chin and a rapturous look on his face. She is the light and soul of Konoha with the force to shatter mountains in her delicate and lovely hands. Yes, yes, Tenten mutters, catching him by the collar again and forcibly dragging him towards the door of Sasuke's building and then up the stairs. As you've said repeatedly every day since you met her. Oh, my youthful teammate, do not feel jealous, for the fire of Konoha burns brightly in you as well, even if you are not. Then Neji prudently steps in before his partner can finish strangling their teammate. Tenten, he's turning purple. Oh, what a pity, it'll clash with his jumpsuit. Tenten smiles sweetly. Oh, my youthful teammate, do not feel jealous, for the fire of Konoha burns brightly in you as well, even if you are not. Then Neji prudently steps in before his partner can Come on, we got some more supplies! She disappears back inside, leaving the door swinging open behind her. Shikamaru mutters to himself, pinching the bridge of his nose again. Equal odds for them having cleaned out the liquor store or T&I's stash of torture implements. He warns with wry amusement and leads the way inside. The rest of the Konoha 12 droop in on his heels and leave Naruto and Sasuke standing alone in the hall. Too late to run? Naruto asks, without much hope. 7 years too late, Sasuke informs him without an ounce of pity and pulls him along. As soon as the door closes, he lets go, all but diving to the side of Naruto, barely has time to brace himself before he goes flying back into the thick oak, which creaks and trembles dangerously but doesn't give way. His head is spinning, his ears are ringing, and his entire face aches like he just went one-on-one with Kurama, but somewhere beyond all of that, he hears a sniffle, a sob, and then his arms are full of Sakura. You are a jerk! She hisses at him. Naruto, I thought you were dead! And now you're back and sneaking around the village! How could you? What she said, Kiba echoes, crossing his arms over his chest and narrowing his eyes. Unfortunately for him, Naruto finds it somewhat less intimidating after his face was just reacquainted with Sakura's fist. Sorry, he says, meeting the eyes studying him in turn and smiling helplessly. I'm sorry, but I promise it was for a good reason. With a glance to check that his privacy seals on the windows are still working, he reaches up and tugs his mask down, letting it hang loose around his neck. But I guess that since things are almost over with, it's okay that you know now. Not great, because Haku is going to murder me, but as long as you don't say anything, it'll be fine. It's not a prank, Neji says evenly, leaning back against the wall and looking considering. Hinata glances at him quickly, and he tips his head to her. He's serious. If this were a prank, it would be up now, found out. But between the disguise and the way he came in through the eastern gates with Uchiha this morning after there was extended fighting in the western force, it's enough to see something is going on. Hopefully not for much longer, Naruto puts in, forcibly injecting lightness into his tone. Like I said, it's almost over. You guys don't have to worry about it. Wham! Ouch! Sakura-chan? What was that for? You idiot! Sakura plants her hands on her hips and glares at him. Of course we're going to worry! If you don't at least tell us what's going on, or better yet, let us help you, I will show you just how much I've learned about the human body since you left, Naruto. Naruto raises his hands to fend her off, backpedaling and quickly ducking behind Sasuke for cover. Alright, I'll tell you, but Sakura, it's dangerous. He meets her furious eyes, trying to convey just how serious he is with a look. It's really dangerous. Sasuke's hand curls around his elbow, not squeezing, just holding. It's a comfort either way. Naruto's right, he says grimly, not quite looking at anyone else. The man we're going after had my entire clan killed. Are you willing to risk your family so easily? The silence stretches, hard and brittle and sharp enough to draw blood if broken, like hair-thin strands of glass. And then Kiba, brash and impetuous and always ready to dive headfirst into danger, huffs out an offended breath and shakes his head. I'd like to see him try going after the Inuzuka clan, he growls. I'm in. Or the Hyuga, Hinata adds softly, but her voice is still just barely hiding a spine of unyielding steel as she meets Neji's eyes across the room. Branch house and main house stand united, he affirms, inclining his head in agreement. You can't really expect us to stay out of this, Naruto. Choji says, gentle but determined as he holds Naruto's gaze, and Naruto feels a flicker in his chest. Warmth and fondness for a boy who once shared lunches with him when only a handful of children would so much as speak to him. If it's someone in Konoha, they must be dealt with, Shino agrees, pushing his dark glasses further up his nose. Why? Because if he has already had a whole clan murdered, he will be a threat regardless of whether we know of him or not. It is better to be forewarned. If he has enough clout to get a genius like Uchiha Itachi to massacre his family, he's well placed, Ino says, pale blue eyes narrowing as she crosses her arms. She exchanges glances with Shikamaru, who looks troubled, and then lifts her chin. There are Yamanaka clan members in every division of TNI. If we haven't managed to catch this traitor yet, as the next clan head and the head of the intelligence division when Ibiki retires, I'm duty-bound to see to it. Chika? Troublesome, the genius mutters, though Naruto can't quite tell if he means her or the situation. My father missed this as well. Like Ino, this is my duty as the heir to the Nara clan. If Team 10 and Team 8 are doing this, I guess I might as well declare Team 9 to go, Tenten says with faint amusement. I'm an orphan, so it's not like they can go after my family. Oh, mine, Lee adds, squaring his shoulder. Yush! Team 9 is in! And Team 7, Sakura finishes firmly, crossing her arms and giving Sasuke and Naruto both a blistering glare, even though they don't attempt to argue. That's 11 of the strongest Jonin and Tokubetsu Jonin in Konoha, and one... She trails off, studying Naruto guardedly for a moment. You did get promoted, didn't you? Hey! Naruto yelps, deeply wounded. What's with the skepticism? I outrank all of you, thanks! Someone, Sasuke puts in, sounding entirely too amused, thought it would be a good idea to make him Uzukage. Damn! Naruto cries in mock-offense, punching Sasuke in the shoulder and trying his best not to grin at the sight of 10 of Konoha's top shinobi left. Absolutely speechless! When Tsunade finally manages to drag herself back into her office after a meeting with the academy teachers that ran on far too long, she's absolutely exhausted and close to seeing double and wants nothing so much as a good stiff drink. Unfortunately, though, there are still forms that need to be filed, notes that need to be expanded on, new lesson plans that need to be approved, and several hours of worrying to be done over the fact that she has yet to hear anything from Jiraiya or even Orochimaru. With that in mind, she pushes the door open with a weary sigh and steps in, only to stop dead in her tracks. There's a white gyrfalcon, one of the birds native to the eastern coast, and specifically to Uzushio, where they've always been favored as messengers, perched dead center in the middle of her desk, watching its surroundings with fiercely intelligent golden eyes. It stares at her for a long moment, assessing, and then bobs its head and vanishes in a puff of smoke. A summons, then. Tsunade thinks quickly, crossing the room to find out what it brought. People generally only use summons to carry important things because they're too proud to take on such duties without good reason. And indeed, there's a sealing scroll on top of her paperwork. It opens easily with a touch of her chakra, and the very first word makes the breath catch hard and tight in her chest. Bachan, it says. Well, if someone wanted to get her attention, they haven't. You're not going to want to believe this, but you have to. You remember when Uzushio was destroyed, I'm sure. Now you're the one who can make sure that it never happens again. It's not signed, but Tsunade doesn't need a signature to know who it's from. With her heart in her throat, she activates the privacy seals on her office, then bites her thumb to drop blood and smears it across the scroll's seal. When the whirl of smoke clears, there's a neat stack of folders in front of her labeled in a familiar hand. Not Naruto's, even though the note was his. Interesting. Something tells her that her night just got a whole lot longer and that soon she'll really need that sake. To go to these lengths to bring something to her attention and no one else's, there's absolutely no way this can be good news. Taking a deep breath and setting her jaw, Tsunade flips open the topmost file and starts to read. She's wrong. It's not just not good. It's the kind of thing that will shake Konoha to its very foundations.